Okay, so welcome back to another edition of Fix It Friday. All right, so today what I wanted to talk about was just chipping, okay, and how we chip a ball. And some golfers struggle with this, and they overcomplicate it a little bit too much. They tend to try and use their lob wedge for everything, okay, because they see the players on TV doing it and making big swings and using the hands and so forth, and they don't just stick to the basics that they should learn. Now, back in my day, I sound old here now because I am old, but back in my day we used to do a thing called chip and running, okay, where we used to use, the stock standard was always 7-iron, 9-iron and sand iron, and that used to give us different flights. All right, but at the end of the day, one of the key things that we used to do was chip it like we putt. Okay, so this is what I really wanted to teach you today, really, is the chip putt. And you can use it with all sorts of different clubs, and I urge you to try not just your sand iron or your lob wedges, okay, but use a 7-iron as well. And you'll see that the ball will come out a little low and it will run a lot more. So say for example, if you've got a long way to the flag, but there's like a 2-tier green and you're trying to get up the tier, we see a lot of golfers try and take the lob wedges, try and lift it over the tier. Well, run it up the tier as if you were putting, all right? It's a lot easier to do. So the basics for this though really is quite simple, really. So I've got my sand iron here. Is starting from the feet up really. I'm going to have my feet a lot closer together. I'm going to play the ball a little bit further back in my stance, so into the right half of my stance. So I'm going to put my weight a little bit on my left side. This is just going to put my low point ahead of the ball. All right. My knees are soft. If anything, they're urging a little bit towards my left side. They're pushing that way. Okay, so I'm cheating impact to a certain degree. I can feel pressure also in my left heel. Okay, I'm standing taller to the shot. I'm standing a lot closer to the ball as well, and I'm holding it as if I'm putting. Okay, and this is why we call it the chip putt. So I've got the club exactly how I would hold my putter. All right, I've also got it running through in my palm as opposed to my fingers and running up through here. This is just going to urge a different slight action. It's going to stop any urge to roll the wrists and so on through the shot as if I was putting, because you wouldn't do that in a putt, would you? All right, and my right hand's going to work back and forth the same as it does in my golf swing, which is like a throw-in action, and that's really what I want you to try and achieve with this. So everything's a little bit on the left hand side. I'm gripping down the handle as well, if you notice as well. I've got a lot of grip shown at the end here, keeping the weight forward. I'm just going to make a stroke back and forth. How the golden rule used to be that however far back you go the same length through. Keeps you accelerating, and this is how you control distance. So back and through, and that's how you control the acceleration. All right, it's just a great way to control your shots. You won't hit a lot offline. Standing taller and standing closer, also what that does is it means that I'm going to hit it off the toe of the club. So I haven't got the heel down here. I'm going to hit it off the toe. This is great if you're in rough, because this means that the club's never going to turn over as it hits the ball. If anything, it will come a little bit open, so you'll still get the ball out the rough. It's just a great way to chip it. I love this little shot. So I used it just last weekend when I played at the Belfry, because I missed a couple of greens on the course, and it was just a great way just to get it back into the hole and up to the hole. All right, it's a great way to control it, because you know they often say, you know, your worst putt from off the green is going to be as good as your best chip. Well, it's never been truer than this. So it's exactly the same thing with a 7-iron. I've just gone up to a 7-iron here, same stance. I'm gripping down the handle almost onto the shaft, hands forward, weight into the left heel, ball back in my stance a little bit. This is going to come out a lot lower and it will come out a lot faster, but hopefully I should get it quite close. So just back and just through, and it should go up and into the hole. Okay, you can't see that, but it's just gone in. So anyway, so it's called the chip putt. I urge you to practice this and try this on the course, okay, or on the practice ground. So remember, you're going to hold it exactly the same way as you do a putter. I mean, we're seeing Matt Fitzpatrick doing left hand below right. We're seeing there's a chap on the internet. He used to be a football player, Jimmy Bullard, but he's actually doing the claw grip as he's chipping. All right, it just takes away and eliminates any wrist action. The main thing though is when you're standing to it, is that you stand a lot taller and the hands are a lot closer. This way then, this will lift you up onto the toe of the club, so that if you did catch the ground slightly, it would only ever open, as opposed to if it's off the heel, you can close it. So it's just a rocking back and forth motion with the hands and the arms, and just playing the shot like so. You'll be amazed at how accurate you'll be with this, and how easy, just off the edge of the green, you'll find your chipping will become. All right, so you can then read it like a putt and play it like a putt. All you're doing is using a lofted putter, basically. All right, so that's very, very important you try this out. So when you're practicing this, just get a feel for how the ball comes out. So this is the 7-iron that I've got here. And like I say, it will come out, so I'm going to keep it nice and low. It will come out a lot lower, and it will run a lot more towards the hole. And you'll see that it will come out a lot straighter as well, so you'll get a lot more control. It's better to be running the ball at the hole sometimes than it is to be like trying to lift it up into the air. There's a lot more accuracy, because with the 7-iron, for example, I'm making a shorter stroke as opposed to with my wedges I'm having to make a longer stroke. There's more room for error. Now I know you can use the bounce and so on your wedges, and I get that, obviously, but sometimes you don't have to complicate things. Golf isn't that complicated. Don't make it so. Because tour pros are doing it, does it mean you have to do it? No, not necessarily. So from here, I'm just going to have to make a longer stroke. Just try and get that to go in. All right, I can be fairly accurate with it. Just a bit pacey, that one. Okay, I'd take the 7-iron all day long, to be honest with you. But just get a feeling for how the different ones react. They don't come out really, really high, but you can see how they do go into the hole. So that's really what I want you to be working on, is trying to get a feel for the different flights, okay? And just get a feel for how the action works. It's really, really important to just give this a try. So the chip putt, okay? The introduction to the chip putt is pretty good, to be fair, and I would never be without it. All right, so that's what I want you to really sort of give a go. So that's the chip putt, okay? That's for Fix It Friday this week. If you have any questions on that, please message me below. You know, this was what the whole format's for on Skillist. It's just a case of practicing it as well. Some people don't like to practice chipping. You know, they never practice what they're not good at, because they like to practice what they're good at, because it makes them feel good. So if you're having struggles with this, get out there, have a try of this. You've nothing to lose, have you, if that makes sense? But try it with different clubs as well, okay? Do it the old-fashioned way, okay? Sometimes it's okay to go back. We generally go back through time again, generally in fashion. You know, we go back to the 80s again soon. But it's really important that you try that out. Try different clubs and get a stock set with it as well. The old days, it used to be, this is how the flight and roll used to work out, was with the 7-iron, it would fly in the air for 25% of the distance of the shot, and then roll for 75%. 9-iron would be 50-50, so 50% in the air and then 50% roll, and a sand iron would be 75% in the air, 25% roll. Obviously lofts have changed since then, they've got a lot stronger, so just be mindful of that. But you know, you might have to go down to, say, an 8-iron for the 25% fly, wedge for 50-50, and then your sand iron is your sand iron, really. It's still 50, still 54, 55s, okay? So just play around with it. It depends on the conditions of the greens as well. If they're wet and stodgy, they're going to need more lift, more carry. But it's good to have this in your armoury, because it's going to really help you to not be afraid of the chip shot anymore. All right, so hopefully that helps you, and I'll catch you again next week.